Alright, so we're going to start by removing the rear wheel. It'll be a 17 and a 19 millimeter on this model bike. Now once you get the nut and the bolt started to pull out here, be careful you don't mix up the little metal shims. They do go in a specific place. You can't just put them anywhere. It helps align the disc with the chain, keep everything in line. You can see one fell out here. Not a big deal, I know where they go. Pop the chain off, go ahead and pull the tire out, get that out of the way. Now as you remove the bracket from the swing arm, you're going to want to depress the bracket towards the caliper, and that should push the piston out towards you, releasing the rear smaller pad. Then you'll have to carefully swing one side of the outer pad off first, then you should be able to flip it around and pull the other side out. Now as you start to take the bracket and the caliper apart from each other, there's a little metal clip in the top here. Have to be careful not to get that caught in between. You don't want to bend or break that. When you get it separated, notate the orientation of the bracket so you know which way it goes back together. Now we're just going to pop the clip out, inspect it, make sure there's no damage or debris lodged in place. Go ahead and rest that back in the way it goes. There's a little slot at the top of the caliper it'll rest into above the piston. Now as you start to put the bracket back onto the caliper, you should take this time to clean off the slide pins and add some fresh grease just to keep it from binding up. Make sure it operates smoothly for you. Now you're going to want to push the bracket tightly up against the caliper all the way seated. Make sure that the clip is still attached and in place, and the piston is pushed all the way back so it's not going to hinder the pad install. Now the inner pad is T-shaped with ears that will line up in slots in the caliper. And the outer pad has two holes. You'll start with one side on one pin, swing it around under the caliper and install it on the second pin. Then from here you'll just center the bracket on the caliper, make sure the pads are moving freely and centered up with proper spacing. Then you just go ahead and install it back on the bike, put the wheel back on, and you're all done.